Another Stamp with Amy K YouTube live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the Charming Day stamp set bundle, which is one of the newer ones from the online exclusives that just got released on the 1st of July. So this is actually a pretty quick and easy little card, and I see that, oh gosh, one of these days I will get it on the screen straight for the first time, but probably not for a long time. All right. That looks a little bit better to me when I'm looking at it on the big screen. So I am going to show you how I made a really quick and easy little thank you card with the Charming Day stamp set. So like I said, it should be pretty quick. Hopefully it won't keep you here too long. I know everybody's kind of prepping for the holiday weekend here in the US. It's 4th of July. And so yeah, normally I go live on Friday. So thank you everybody who's hopping in here and saying hello, and thanks for joining me today. I appreciate that. I know I'm not on my normal schedule, but I figured, you know, it's the holiday tomorrow. Nobody's going to be watching, and I didn't want to do it either. So, hey, Mary Ruth and Pam and Marion and Marilyn and Denise and Terry, thanks everybody for hopping in. All right. So that's the card we're making. Charming Day stamp set is really pretty. It's got some beautiful floral images in it and then some great sentiments. Love the mix and match fonts in this one. And then there's a great set of coordinating dies called the Charming Day dies. And the three that are the open ones, actually will cut out your stamped images in here. And then there are a bunch of accessory dies too. So there's this pretty little greenery piece, a pretty rose, kind of a little branch looking image, another rose, just the top, and then this kind of floral spray. So it is a beautiful set of stamps and dies. So it's a beautiful bundle. There's actually a whole suite that coordinates with it in the online exclusives, but the only thing I used from the suite are these two pieces. There's designer paper, embellishments, ribbon, the whole 9 yards. So, but I do love these. So, all right, let me set a couple things aside here, and then we will just chat for a minute about what's going on at Stampin' Up, and then we'll get busy stamping. So, I am doing a double reward points ordering bonus for every order of $50 or greater placed through me through July 7th. So you've got through the weekend, so don't worry about having to get your orders put in right away. Hey, Rosie and Judy, thanks for hopping in, and Jolene and Linda, thanks for joining. So I'm doing a double reward points ordering bonus, and basically, normally all of my customers, when they order $50 or greater from me, they get one running shoe reward point. And when you collect 8 of those points, you get a free $40 order of your choice from me. So over this weekend, through the 7th of July, if you place a $50 order, you're going to get 2 points from me. If you place a $100 order, you're going to get 4 points, and so on and so forth. So let me know if you have questions about that. Details are on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com, and I'll also include it in the blog post tomorrow, where I show you the details of this card, so you can go over and take a peek at the details for my ordering bonus as well. Online exclusives, as I said, this is some of the new online exclusives, and actually this paper that I've got here shows you the designer series paper, and then the embellishments and the ribbon. The whole suite is on here. Again, there are many other things out in the online exclusives. Right now, this is just happens to be one of them that we've got a little flyer for. To find the online exclusives, go to stampinup.com and then click on the menu button in the upper left, and then click on the little button that says online exclusives, and you'll go to a special page with all sorts of good stuff in it. Just remember, these are not tied to any catalogs, so they come and go. So if you see stuff out there that you like, make sure you're grabbing it. So, hey, Kathy and Deborah, thanks for joining. And then finally, just don't forget the virtual album retreat. If you are interested in doing that, you kind of need to get your order put in very soon if you want to attend the retreat live and have your products ready to go. It's $250 for the retreat, and you're going to, with the $250, you get the whole kit to make 12 2-page spreads for scrapbooking. And you also get to attend the event out on Facebook. If you're not able to attend live, they are going to have replays of it as well. So don't feel like you have to be there live in order to be able to do it. So if you want to do it, grab the kit, and then you can watch the replays any other time. So let me know if you have questions about any of that. Otherwise, yeah, let's get going on the card. Okay. So for my original card, my card base is my favorite, which is the top fold. So it's 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 across the top. So it opens like that. For the card that we're doing here today, I'm actually going to change it up a little bit because I like to show you that most of my cards you can do with a standard book fold if that is your preferred card base. You can always, most of the cards, every once in a while I'll have something where I've wrapped something around the belly of the card and you can't open it we wouldn't be able to open it if it worked that way. But for most of my cards, you can use just your standard book fold. So this card base is actually 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4 down the middle. And it is thick basic white. So glad we still have this cardstock, because for a little while, Stampin' Up! Was planning to discontinue it. And I about had a meltdown. All right. I am using Post-it note tape. This is the 1-inch wide Post-it note tape. You can get it at any office supply store. You can get it on Amazon. You can order it all sorts of different places. So I think I got mine on Amazon last time I found it, but it's all over the place. And I do love it. It works really easily. It doesn't tear up your cardstock, so you can put it on things like this and then be able to peel it off later when you're ready to be done with it. And yeah, there's no ripping up the card front, no tearing things apart. So what I'm doing with this is I'm lining it up as straight as I can with the edge, and then just running it all the way down. So I'm just creating a little mask. Stampin' Up! Does have some masking paper, but I find that I like the Post-it note tape better, and I'll just be honest about that because, yeah, I mean, I like it better. It's smaller pieces. I can control it a little bit better, and I like the stickiness of Post-it notes. I don't know I've even tried like the generic Post-it notes, and they don't have the right kind of sticky on it. I don't know what 3M has done to make theirs so special, but it's definitely the best Post-it notes are from 3M. And that's just my opinion. All right. Balmy blue is what I've got for ink, and I've got one of our blending brushes. So we're just going to take balmy blue, start over here off to the side to make sure I'm not going to get a big dark glob of ink. And then we're just going to kind of roll it across the card front. And I want it to be a little darker down on the lower right and kind of lighten as it goes across. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing with my blending brush. Is just going to start down in the corner and kind of apply the ink over and over again on the corner. And then kind of pull it up a little bit so that there's a little ink in the upper part, but I want to have most of the ink down here under the floral image. And it's, I don't know, about 2/3 of it we're going to do a little darker, and then the 1/3 is going to be a little bit lighter. But again, if you want it to be darker all the way through, you can certainly do that. So, all right, I think we're going to call that good. Now we're going to peel up the little Post-it note tape, and you'll see that you get this awesome kind of framed look with it. Get the Post-it note tape out of here so I don't stick it to anything else. And there you go. So you get a nice little masked area, a little framing, which I like the look of that. I think it's pretty cool. All right, then I'm going to grab my basic gray ink, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I use the thank you, so it's thanks for being you. And again, it's from the Charming Day stamp set. We're just going to ink it up here in basic gray ink. And then we're going to stamp it. And we're going to try not to sweat about it not being straight or perfect. Whew, I think we got it pretty well. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's pretty well straight. So, whoop, I better leave that open. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And I did do some of the stamping and coloring ahead of time because there are actually 3 of these little branches that I had used on the card front. So I did 2 of them ahead just because it's boring to sit and watch me stamp and die cut the same thing over and over again. I've got the larger floral image, again, from the Charming Day stamp set. And just inking that up with the basic gray ink. And we'll stamp it here on basic white cardstock. And then we're going to grab the little branch image and do the same thing with that. Stamping it over here. Just giving myself a little space between the 2 stamped images so that I have room to run the die cuts through and hopefully be able to cut them both at the same time. All right, now we're going to grab some Stampin' Blends markers. I'm going to start with the Old Olive for the leaves, and I've got light Old Olive that I'll be starting with. Oof, there we go. And just going to fill in. When I do my coloring with the Stampin' Blends, I usually start with the light first, and then I add in the dark. Everybody kind of has their own method for doing it, but this seems to work well for me. So you can do it however it works best for you. But if you're new to Stampin' Blends and to the alcohol markers, I do recommend that you start with a floral image like this one because they're very forgiving. People and faces and that sort of thing are a little bit harder for me just because you want it to look, I don't know, a little bit different, but flowers are very forgiving. So I always recommend that you start with flowers if you're new to Stampin' Blends markers. Color a couple of those until you get comfortable with the way the blends work, and then move on to something that's a little more challenging. So, all right. And again, I just went in, I added a little bit of dark down the lower part of each of these little leaves. And I'm just taking my light and kind of scratching over the the dark marker and just pulling it up a little bit onto the leaf so that it's a little darker down towards the center, a little lighter up towards the top. And then we're going to go to the larger floral image, and this one's going to take me a little bit longer because there are quite a few more little leaves on this one. So again, we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to fill in the light first on all the leaves, and then I'll come back in with the dark. So anybody have any big plans for the holiday weekend? We are going to be here at home, but we're planning to do a little grilling, you know, the usual stuff. And the pool is all open and ready to hop in, which is, I think, today I heard we're supposed to have some kind of thunderstormy stuff in New Jersey, but I think tomorrow it's supposed to be just hot and humid probably. At least I haven't heard of any bad weather, but I could be wrong. So, all right. Oh, thanks, Rosie. All right, again, just finishing up coloring these last couple leaves over here. And this is definitely what takes the longest with this card. The actual card base and the card front is really quick. Just doing a little blending brush with that, and that's all done. I did make one of these cards at one point, and I actually heat embossed the image on it, and I did use a blending brush to add colors to the flowers and to the leaves, and it turned out beautifully, I think. So that's another option if you don't have the markers and don't want to spend the time coloring. Just heat emboss the image and grab a couple blending brushes and whatever your favorite colors for flowers are, and add a little color to the leaves and the flower images. And this one's actually pretty easy to do that with because the flower images are big, and so are the leaves. So I die cut it first and then just took the blending brushes and added ink to it. And it turned out really pretty, I think. And I heat embossed it with white. So something to think about anyway as you're considering this set. I think it's a beautiful stamp set, and I love the paper that is in the suite with it. So, all right, again, I probably should be not yakking so much and telling you what I'm doing. I'm adding a little bit of dark old olive around the bottoms of all the leaves. So, doing a family grill, it's going to be 100. Ugh, yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite that hot. So, yikes, 100 degrees today. Not here. I think we're supposed to be maybe low 80s, I think is what we're going to be here. But again, I don't even know. I haven't looked that far ahead because I didn't really have anything that I had going on outside other than grilling, but that we have a deck, so I'm covered under that. If it ends up pouring rain, I can still stand outside and do the grilling. So, all right. And again, doing the same thing with the leaves, just coming in and kind of scratching over the area where I've done the dark color to blend it a little bit, and then just pulling the color right up with the light to do the rest of the leaves. So you still have the white embossed cards you can show. I actually don't, Terry, I'm sorry, but it turned out pretty. So like I said, just give it a whirl. It's really easy. And what did work best for me on it, the one tip I have with the blending brushes is I did use the small blending brushes. So if that helps you at all, the larger blending brushes, you could probably make it work, but it's just going to be a little more difficult around the flower centers to make sure you don't end up with ink all over. But I don't even remember what color I did it in. The flowers were definitely lighter than the leaves, so I started by putting the ink on the flowers and then went back in and put the ink on the leaves. So anyhow. So, but yeah, it's pretty easy to do. There we go. All right, getting down there. So, hey, Mary, thanks for hopping in. 92 in Minnesota. Yikes, that's hot. Like I said, I was out, I don't know, an hour ago or so, and I don't think it's quite that hot here in New Jersey. I should have probably looked a little closer at how hot it was, but I wasn't miserable when I was outside. And usually when it gets above about 85, that's when I'm like, oh, it's hot. I can't take it. So, and I wasn't there yet. So. All right, swirling this together here. Again, almost done with the leaves. Here we go, a couple more little ones to go. And then we'll be coloring the flower, and then we'll be die cutting, and basically the card's going to be done because that's really the hardest part is the coloring of the flowers and the leaves on here because there are kind of a lot of them. All right. There we go. All right. We're going to call that good. So Now I'm going to grab, I almost called this bubble bath, and I'm like, that is definitely not bubble bath. I'm going to grab light lemon lolly, and we're going to do the same thing on the flowers, where I'm basically just going to trace around the edges and then fill everything in with the light lemon lolly ink. And these lighter colors like this one are definitely very forgiving when you're coloring with them. Even if you go outside the lines, you can hardly tell with the really light colors like this. So I really don't worry a lot about coloring everything really perfectly. And nicely with the light colors, I just swirl the color on, and when it gets all done, then I call it good. So, all right, tracing around the little flower up here, same thing. There we go. All right, so we've got the light color put on. And next up, oh, it is a beautiful, beautiful bundle, definitely. So next I'm going to grab the dark lemon lolly, and I'm just going to trace around what would be the underneath part of the leaf, if that makes sense, or the leaf of the petals, if that makes sense. So this part's going to be on the top, that part's going to be underneath. So I'm basically just tracing around anything that I think is going to be on the underneath side of it with the dark lemon lolly, just adding a little shadow in there. And then as you get down towards the center, it's just kind of a matter of, oh, most of that's going to be dark down in there, so I don't really care. I'm not getting too worried about exactly where the light and the dark lands on that part of it. So again, just tracing around what would be the underneath part, or the darker part, what would be in a shadow, and then a little bit around the middle. And then we're going to grab the light and just going to blend in a little bit here in a couple of these places. Not even going to spend very much time doing it, but just kind of want to add a little bit of color, make sure I've got everything kind of evened out. There we go. A little bit here around the edges. And that's really all there is to color in the flowers. So super quick and easy. So, all right, love the flowers. I already have so many flowers. Yep, maybe you can. Like I said, I can never have too many flowers. That's my opinion. I keep buying them because I love them all. So, hey, Mary and Karen, thanks for hopping in, and Dorothy as well. All right, so again, got dies. I did 2 of them ahead of time, so you don't have to sit and watch all of that. But got one die cut here, and then the other little one is over here. I'm going to take this and run it through my die cutting machine. And I also did ahead of time, I cut one of these out of basic white cardstock. So that one's already been done too. All right, let me run these through and I will be right back. So playing with the same set for tomorrow. Yep, it's a good one. All right. See if I can get these both done in one swing. Come on. There we go. Got my little die cut flowers here and the greenery. I'll put my dies on the magnetic sheet before I lose track of those. Okay, flip this back over. And then we're just going to come, this one's the already done card. Golly, I'm going to come back in and we're going to stick these together. So, all right, so for the larger branch, I'm actually going to trim off a little of the bottom of this just because it's going to stick out underneath there, and I don't like the way that looks very well. So I'm actually going to take this and going to snip off just the very bottom of the stem so that it doesn't hang out. And if it does hang out a little bit, then we'll just trim off a little bit more. So all good. And then we're going to grab a couple of glue dots. I don't need to put a whole bunch of these on here. It's basically just enough to kind of hold it in place because we're going to stick some other things over the top of it, and that will hold it in place really well. So I just want to put a couple down here so that it's stuck down a little bit, kind of securely. All right, we'll go ahead and lay that on there like that. Then we're going to grab the larger flowers and we'll put those on next. And I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on them, but I'm going to try to keep them a little bit towards the center, just because I'm going to be tucking the greenery pieces underneath it. So I want to make sure that I try not to hit the dimensionals that I've used to stick this onto the card front with my little greenery pieces that I'm going to be tucking in and around here. All right, so we're going to take this one and I think we'll kind of stick it on, just trying to make sure that the blue down here on the bottom is covered and kind of are making our little framed piece with it. Then here are my glue dots. I'm going to grab a couple more glue dots and we'll stick those on the back of the greenery pieces here. And tuck that underneath here. And this one's almost hidden. It's not quite hidden, but it's almost hidden underneath there. And we'll stick that right over the top and smoosh it down. Then we're going to grab this one. Same thing, except we're going to be putting it up here towards the top. Again, just kind of peeking it out around the edge here. And then the final one we will put in kind of, it's not really in the front, but kind of in front, or in the middle, I should say. All right, we'll tuck that one in right here. There we go. Ta-da, mostly done. Gonna grab a couple of these little iridescent pearl basic jewels. These are kind of they're a really good basic jewel, as it says, I guess, but they're just a really good one. The pearls on these I really like because they're kind of, I don't know, extra sparkly in my opinion. I think they're really pretty. Just gonna take about 5 or so of these and stick them here around on the card front. Just kind of randomly mixing in larger and smaller ones. Tuck that one in there. Then we'll take another small one up here. All right, got them all stuck down well. And that's really it for the card front. So super quick and easy. Just add a little bit of blending and that's it. So, all right. Gonna grab another piece of basic white cardstock for the inside of the card. And I've got the other little floral image from the Charming Day stamp set. It's somewhere, I do have, there it is, some basic gray ink. And we're just gonna stamp that here on the inside. All right, there we go, kind of off the edge of the paper. A basic white, this piece is cut to about 4 by 5 1/4. Again, I'll be posting all the details for this card out on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I will link directly to the to the blog post in the video description is what I was trying to say. As soon as it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time tomorrow, which will be the 4th of July here in the US. So I'll link up to it then so you can come back and check out the cardstock cuts and find all the products that I used to make it and all that good stuff. So just got the bundle and you're playing with it now. Definitely a good one. So. And it would make a really pretty anniversary card. So, or I think a birthday card maybe. Like I know my mom would love this as a birthday card. So definitely you could do that too. So you could turn this into almost anything. So I was just being lazy and just used the sentiment from the what was in the stamp set. So, all right. And again, we're doing the same thing on the leaves. So I put a little bit of the dark down towards the center, kind of blending in the edges of the dark. And then pulling the color out, so blending it over the top of where I colored with the dark, and then just pulling the color out to the rest of the leaf. All right, same thing on this final one. There we go. Get this little bit here on the edge of it. I did color the center of this flower because there is a little center on it with crumb cake, Stampin' Blends markers. But again, if you don't love the crumb cake or you don't want to color it at all, you don't have to. I just felt like it looked a little naked without anything on the center of it. So I did a little bit of light and dark crumb cake. And again, just a couple little dashes there of the dark. And I'm not even going to reblend it with the light because it's small and I don't think you notice it anyway. So, hey, Michelle, thanks for hopping in. And then again, just going to use the light lemon lolly to color in those little petals. And we'll come back in with the dark lemon lolly. And we'll put a little bit of it towards the center of the flower. And we'll be all done. So there we go. All right, let's color in here around the center a little bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to pull and kind of blend a little bit along the edges here to soften the line. And that's it. So done. Super quick and easy to color the inside of it. So let me grab some Stampin' Seal here, and hopefully I have enough. I may run out, and we may have to run a little liquid glue on it to finish up the last of the gluing here, but ooh, barely made it. That looks like it's going to run out the next time I use it. So, all right, sticking this here on the inside of the card. There we go. And then grabbing the bone folder and giving it a good solid crease. There we go. Oop, get out of the way, a little die cut. There we go. Okay, and that's it. So super quick and easy. Like I said, I love the framing look. Just grab yourself some of that Post-it note tape, put your little frame around the edge of it, do a little blending with your blending brushes. Yeah, and then add whatever you want for layers over the top of it. So super quick and easy. And yeah, a good one for the holiday weekend if you're looking to get a card done in a hurry. So, all right, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Again, all the details will be on my blog post tomorrow, which is stampwithamykate.com. I'll link directly to it in the description of the video so you'll be able to find all the details and all the stuff, all the details for my double points ordering special, all that stuff on my blog post tomorrow too. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend. For those of you celebrating this weekend, 4th of July, happy 4th of July. And I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday next week. Friday next week, I'm actually going to be out of town, so I'm not going to be doing a live later in the week. But I will be here on Tuesday and then the following Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So we will see you all then. Thanks for joining today.